the interest of keeping things rolling and in the interest of Theresa's battery,
okay,
I want to welcome Theresa onto the show. And I know she was going through a little anxiety because it's the first time she's ever talked to you guys live on the air. But let's put her at ease and welcome her and ask her if she knows the password.
Okay.
It's
Theresa,
after hours, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Theresa.
Hi, everyone. I'm really nervous. Sorry.
Welcome.
Welcome. No, don't be nervous.
No, don't be nervous.
I'm here.
You have a lot
I'm
to
usually
talk
in the
about.
background when Brian's having his show, and I don't really get to say much. So I'm not really a very good speaker. So if you guys want to ask me questions, or I can tell you about how I woke up and everything.
I got one. You're the one. Okay. You're the one who I've seen your testimony where you will go to the store and you will yell at the shoes on the shelves. I want to hear about that.
Are you kidding? I haven't heard that.
She yells at the Mandela Effect.
Yeah, I actually wake people up also when I go to the grocery stores and the regular stores.
Are you recording that? Please.
Well, how mine had happened to me is mine was the Skechers shoes. Everybody should know that story.
Sure.
My shoes changed spelling on me, and I've had them for like 7 years. I have 2 pairs of Skechers shoes, and it was really bizarre how I woke up because I was on Facebook and I saw Skechers, and I'm like, that's not spelled right. And I went and looked on my shelf, and I'm like, what the heck? And that's kind of how I woke up, and one thing led to another, and I guess I was meant, and what's weird is that I think I was meant to wake up. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Because I knew before I woke up, no, I don't know, a lot of Mandela affected people out here have the same kind of story. I knew months before I woke up that something was off. And I don't know if Scarabperformance, you remember the story I told you about?
When I was on Brian's show?
Yes, you remember the story I told you about? Mm-hmm. I felt everything was off, like pixelated.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that.
I'm wondering if anybody else had felt that way before they woke up, like they felt different.
I think we're gonna have to
tell me. Yeah,
we're gonna have to get a little specific. Pixelated. I want to know what that's all about.
How do I explain this? Before I woke up, at least 3 months before I woke up, I was getting the ringing in my ears, which a lot of us go through, the ringing, the popping noise. I felt like I had vertigo a lot. I felt like I was like, you know when you go flying in a plane and you get off and you feel like your body's there, but your mind has not caught up with you?
Oh, for sure.
That's how I felt before I woke up. I knew that my body was where it was supposed to be, but I felt like everything was not together like as one thing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was in a dream state. I felt like I was in a dream state before
I've heard
I woke
that
up.
A lot. I've heard a lot of people talk about
I heard people say
nothing felt real.
Yeah.
And I think that people who aren't awake, I understand that they're like in their own bubble. They're like in their own blissful state. And I remember before waking up, I was very blissful. I was very, I hate to say this, but I was a completely different person before I woke up. Nothing felt real. It was like being in Disneyland.
Yeah, it's interesting. Bliss is an interesting word. Ignorance is bliss, and people that don't see the changes are ignorant to them, and ignorance is bliss. You just you go off like everything is normal.
Yeah,
don't even realize.
And that's how people are feeling now. And I'm like, I was there, and I'm like, if they only would wake up and see the truth. And nobody even looks up at the sky. Every day when I go outside, the first thing I do is I look up. I see the chemtrails. I see some really bizarre things. Something Scarab knew about. I literally got, I seen a shape of a city in the sky. I literally witnessed it. I sent pictures to Brian. I've seen it 3 times already.
Well,
like a shape of a castle in the sky. And no, I don't do drugs. No, I don't smoke.
Oh, those
I don't drink alcohol.
A few of those have been in the news, like alternative news.
Sure. I've seen them. I literally stood in the driveway where I live at my apartment and seen the shape of the city in the sky. I can literally see it. It wasn't no illusion
Are
or
you in
anything.
California?
I live in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, Las Vegas. That's right. Yeah. I saw a report. Yeah. Where
Sin City.
Sin City. And I saw a report.
I've been Rickson in the chat room said a disconnected feeling. That's a good description. I've heard a disconnected. Yeah.
I've also heard people say they also seen it where the world looked almost like high definition. And
I've heard that.
Yeah.
High definition.
Yeah. That would be pixelated.
It was really bizarre.
I guess so.
It was really bizarre before I woke up. And once I woke up, it was like everything was real. I closer to God, and I tell you what, having the Mandela Effect has brought me closer to Jesus and everything, because I was never a religious person. I'm Catholic. But now when I woke up, I feel closer spiritually. Yeah, it was a good thing that happened to me. And you know,
awesome.
I did lose a lot of sleep.
Yeah. Did you ever see my
I lost
video
a lot
on
of sleep.
Sketchers?
I've had a lot of weird side effects.
Yeah.
I've experienced a lot of weird paranormal stuff. I don't know if you guys want to hear the bizarre story or not. I literally was on the phone one time talking to Brian, and I had my TV on pause because I was watching a movie, and all of a sudden I had you guys are probably not going to believe this, but it happened. I literally had a seashell fly across my living room and hit the door.
Who threw it?
Like literally fly. A seashell flew across my living room, hit my door, and Brian was like, "What was that noise?" And I'm like, "Do you really want to know?" I've had a lot of weird paranormal stuff happen to me.
I had paranormal stuff happening about a year ago.
You know how Brian is. Brian was sticking around the corner. He threw that at you and didn't want to tell you.
No. I live by myself, guys.
Teresa's right in that sweet spot.
Watching.
Yep.
I've experienced things merging and changing in front of me. I bought some cookies. I brought them home from Walmart one day. I put them on my shelf, and I opened the shelf to take them down to eat them, and I'm looking at the box. I literally watched letters merge in front of me. Because when I bought this box, yes, I'm literally observing merging in front of me. I found residue. As y'all know, I'm a residue hunter. I hunt residue pretty much every day. I've witnessed residue changing in front of me. I've witnessed it. I literally brought up Chick-fil-A one day on the computer, and it was a still picture. It changed to the CHICK. I watched it change in front of me. I've had residue change in front of me. Mellow yellow. Yes, I've observed things in real time.
Carrying your camera on the ready at all times.
I feel like
it was so fast. I'm like, what? What was that?
You're one of those.
You're
one of those people who have that frequency to catch these things, and you should be on gear and readied up with a camera at all times.
With the paranormal stuff in the shell, I mean, that lines up with what I hear a lot of times, especially, you're in that middle area where I think Satan really doesn't want you falling out of the deception, so you're right there in the middle of the spiritual battle where you're probably getting it from both sides, somebody who's under the spell. If you're under the trauma-based mind control, Satan's not going to wake those people up. He's not going to rattle and roll. He's not going to send ghosts or demons. He's going to keep it still. But for somebody right on the edge, you know what I mean? You're going to be seeing all these crazy things. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, a whole year of paranormal stuff. I had another weird experience I want to tell you guys about. I went to go eat breakfast. I was sitting down at this table, and three people walked in, 2 girls and a guy. One girl sat across from the other guy, and another girl sat in the corner. And I looked at her, and her shirt, she had a top on that was burgundy, and it had white letters, and it said volunteers. And I looked at her shirt when she sat down, and she started eating her food, and my food came over, and I looked back at my cell phone because I was playing with my cell phone, and I looked up again. Her shirt changed the words. Instead of saying volunteers, I looked up again because she did not get up. It changed and it said Queenie. Her shirt literally changed word on me. I looked up and I said, she did not change clothes. She did not get up. Changed the whole word.
Wow.
I told Brian about. I sent a picture of.
Somebody said in the chat room that you are the Laura Croft of residual hunting.
Oh yes, I can find anything. I can. If you guys have anything that you want me to find, I love challenges. I love challenges. Any residue anybody wants to find?
Let me ask you this, sis. What was the very first change that you witnessed or experienced?
I'm sorry. The Skechers was the big one for me, and then the other one, which I don't know if you guys ever heard the live call-in. Brian and I called a donut store where they actually sold Fruit Loop donuts. We did a live call. Brian was on the other end, and the lady who is I think they have one in Oregon and California. It's called, I'm going to say the name of the place. It's called Voodoo Donuts. If you Google them, they literally have a menu where they sell FRUITLOOPS. I got on the phone. I asked the lady, I said, I see that you sell Fruit Loops donuts. And she goes, yeah. And I said, are those the same ones that are on the shelf at the grocery store? And she goes, yeah. And I said, are they spelled FRUITLOOPS? She's like, yeah. And I said, the same cereal on the boxes that you buy. And she's like, yeah. And Brian's trying to keep up from laughing. I repeated the spelling back to her 4 or 5 times. If you look on Brian's videos, there's a live interview with this lady who's a manager at Voodoo Donuts. They literally have a menu that says Fruit Loop Donuts.
You should have got her to send you a text picture.
No, if you check Brian's videos, you'll see and hear the Fruit Loops. It literally has a menu. You can actually look it up now if you guys want to.
Did she look at the box? Did she look at the box of cereal?
No, she didn't. In her eyes, she's seeing Fruit Loops. I think what it is the people who aren't affected are still seeing it a different way until they wake up, and then they're like, whoa, they're seeing Fruit Loops.
Well, I don't know, because a lot of them will
might just assume it says Fruit Loops, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I would have said, go get your box and look at it and read it to me. That's what you.
Well, I didn't want to scare the lady. I didn't even tell her what it was about. I said, yeah, me and Brian are going to have to come and have some donuts.
No.
I went into Chuck E. Cheese. Another live one I did, Brian has. I walked into a Chuck E. Cheese a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when I walked in there, the guy was standing there handing out tickets. And I said, yes, can you help me? And he says, yeah. And I said, the name of your place is Chuck E. Cheese, right? And he goes, yeah. And I said, do you want to look again? And he goes, what do you mean? I walked over to the sign, and he looks up. And I said, look, it says Chuck E. Cheese's. And he looks at me. And I said, am I right? It says Chuck E. Cheese's. I said, I thought you were called Chuck E. Cheese. And he goes, they must have changed the name. And I said to myself, they always do that. When you try to wake somebody up, they find an excuse. And I think we run into that a lot. And I always wake people up. And most people are shocked when I wake them up. Some people don't want to hear about it. I've had mixed emotions on, yeah, you're right. The Monopoly Man did have the eye monocle, And I showed them the phone. I say, look in your phone. I don't look. I say, I'm not changing anything. They freak out about the John F. Kennedy thing. I was born in 63, guys. I know I don't look that old, but I'm 54. I remember the 4 people who were in the car. I was born November 12th, 1963. I was born 2 weeks before Kennedy was assassinated. Like literally November 12th. It happened November 22nd. I grew up knowing the 4 people. And now when you look at it, it's 6 people. I don't remember John Conley and his wife ever in there. They got that extra row in there. And people are like, well, how are they changing this? And I'm like, I don't know. I said, time travelers, CERN. Some people are saying that we were all killed in 2012. And
let me ask you, Theresa. This is the first time that I have actually.
There's all different birds. Everybody thinks something different.
This is the first time I've gotten to talk to you.
I'm sorry. I'm a little hyper. Sorry. I was sick last weekend. I don't know if y'all know I was very sick last week.
It's after hours. It's okay. It's after hours, baby.
It is so awesome.
So I've got some questions for you, though.
Oh, go ahead. No problem.
One, I want to know, from your perspective and your opinion, what you specifically think is the cause. I know I ain't been asking all these questions to everybody, but there's certain ones I like to ask at sporadic moments, and I want to know what you particularly think this is all about.
Part of this could be religious. I think Jesus is letting this happen because you remember in the Bible they talk about the great deception.
Yeah.
I don't know the Bible that well, but I know that, you know, poor Meegs freaks out. I've watched Meegs a lot, and what they're doing to the Bible, or whoever's doing this, is terrible. I mean, they're really desecrating the Bible, especially the King James Version. And I remember the Lion and the Lamb. I remember that. I'm Catholic. I remember the Our Father. I actually found some residue that Brian did as well that said, forgive us our trespasses. I found that on the Young Shelton the other day. You know the Young Shelton, the show?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. He was in Sunday school. If you guys look up at that episode, it was just on the other day. He's in Sunday school, and if you freeze it, look at the board where the Sunday school teacher is. It's got residue on the board. It says, forgive us our trespasses.
I thought one thing,
whole prayer there. I should Brian that.
Or the president's wife, the current president, his wife, when she gave the speech and they did the Lord's Prayer, she did it with forgive us our trespasses. I thought that was a nice catch. I think Brian did. Funny, I kind of got a little argument about that the other night. Some of Melissa and a few other people are remembering transgressions. Right.
That kind of threw me off. I don't remember now whether they're from a different reality or everybody. I went to a church that was on a base, like on a Navy base, because I was a Navy brat. Both of my parents are dead, but my dad was in the military, you know, retired. And I remember going to Sunday school and remembering forgive us for trespasses. I went to communion, confirmation.
Right.
You know,
if you can
Sunday school, I remember
listen,
that.
If you can get your hands on one, I've got one. If you can get your hands on a military prayer book. Now, I've got one from World War II, a World War II prayer book. Okay? They gave it to all the soldiers that went out in the field. The World War II prayer book, the prayer in there is the Lord's Prayer, and it says, on earth, not in earth, and it says, forgive us our trespasses. It's the legit, like we remember.
Did any of your listeners, Ellen, I can tell you all some secrets about how I found my residue. I got some secrets.
If you want to share, that's cool.
I will share. When you're hunting residue, the secret is to confuse the AI. You put it in quotation marks. So like basically you'd say quotation, Fruit Loops, end quotation. You force the computer to find it.
Okay.
That's one of my secrets.
And you do that on
another
Google.
One is yes.
Okay.
And another one that I found that you guys are going to love. You remember Jiffy peanut butter? A lot of people remember Jiffy.
Oh yeah.
Here's a secret for you guys. I found residue not too long ago, a couple months ago. Did you know the person who came out with Jiffy peanut butter had a horse because he was a racer. He liked to race horses. Do you know he named his horse Jiffy Peanut Butter? I found residue for that. That's what he did. He named his horse. He was the founder.
Cool. Now I know that Jiffy, there was a few restaurants you used to be able to go through, the old drive-in kind, and you could order a Jiffy burger, and it's a hamburger with Jiffy peanut butter on it. And I forget who had done it. Somebody had done a video, and they called and was asking them, is it Jiffy peanut butter? And they called every place they could find in the country, in the U.S. And
Brian did that. Brian did that too.
It was Brian, wasn't it? It might have been his that I'm talking about. Yeah, sure enough. And he called and talked to them, and they swore up and down it was Jiffy peanut butter until they went in there and looked. Maybe it's Skippy, I guess, or something.
All right, I got a question from the guys.
Okay, question for the room.
Theresa, I got a question for you.
Oh, okay.
They're asking Theresa, how many dozens of times forgive us our trespasses during the signs of the cross?
K Small's in a room.
You guys understand that question? How many
Say that
dozens?
again.
How many dozens of times forgive us our trespasses during the signs of the cross? Do you understand that question?
Okay.
That's a Catholic question.
It's a Catholic question, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I just say in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and Amen. That's how I do it.
Okay.
You're asking me how many times forgive us our trespasses is in the prayer? I'm a little confused.
I'm confused by it too. Maybe Larry can clear that up.
If you do a rosary,
how many times was that
it's been a long time since I've done the rosary, guys.
Oh.
Okay. If you do the rosary,
you remember I'm in my 50s.
Yeah. Well, listen, sis. I gotta ask you this question before I let you go now, because we're pushing time.
That's fine. I can stay on all night.
Okay, I want to ask you. Well, we can't. That's the problem. I do want to ask you what would be your advice at this point to all of those listening to your voice about how to deal and cope with this Mandela effect.
Well, I know. I don't know if you guys know, but when you first wake up, I went through stages. Everybody's going to go through stages when you wake up. Most people are going to go through shock. You're going to be like shocked. You're going to go through depression. I went through depression. I went through freaking out. I mean, I was constantly freaking out. I'd be like, Brian, look, I just found, like freaking out, like when I found out John Edwards was John Edwards. Today I found out it's Joyce Meyer. It's Joyce Meyer. I kind of accepted it, and you have to kind of just go along with the ride. And it's kind of hard to tell somebody who's waking up to go with it, but it took me a year. I literally been a year for me in December. That just went by. Then I woke up. You'll go through stages of not being able to sleep. I mean, there was nights that I couldn't sleep. I'd be laying there like my eyes wide open. It's hard. It's hard going through the stage. But there's a reason, guys, why we're chosen. We're chosen ones, and I think the Lord wanted us to be with this special Mandela effect. There's a reason why we have it. My boss is not religious, and he's my friend. He's not awake. I've tried to convince him plenty of times.
Here's what the thing is, Theresa. I think we're crazy.
And it's hard. It's hard to try to explain to somebody.
I think we're crazy enough to believe it, Theresa. And I think that, on the other hand, we're just weird enough to believe all this, and at the same time, we're probably strong enough not to freak out over it. And that's why, if God chose us to do it, we are definitely a peculiar people, and that's okay. I
think the Lord gives what you can handle.
Yep, exactly.
And I would tell people who are new waking up to join groups like us, to the well, I haven't been on Facebook in months because I ran out of room on my phone, but go on to the sites, listen to Scarab, listen to Moneybags, listen to other people, go to different people, listen to see what people have to say. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have you guys, because I felt very alone in this at the very beginning. And when I started finding out, I wasn't alone. There's plenty of us out there. I don't know what the population is as far as percentage-wise of people who are affected. I mean, do you guys have any kind of statistics of how many?
I've done a couple of videos on it, but we don't have complete accurate numbers.
There's no real numbers, but
on it. Nothing specific.
We have our own ideas what it might be. I think though it's interesting. I think some people see it, but the thing is does it really call to them? I think that's the real question. It doesn't call to you, because I know people that see the changes, but it doesn't mean anything to them. And they're just like, okay, I agree, but so what? And it's like, so what? Excuse me, don't you see what's going on? Like, well, how can that be? And so it's really what
you can't ignore it.
Heart. Well, we can't, but they
can. I tell Brian when I see Mandela, I can't ignore it. I'm on the phone texting, Brian, guess what I just found? Look at FedEx office. The two F's are connected together. I found that today. And he's like, I did a video on that before. I'm like, no. Because there'll be times that we will be out of sync, and I'll be like, he's like, I already did a video on that. And I'm like, well, I just found it. And you know what I mean? Well, and I can't ignore what I see. Like, once you see Mandela effects, guys, you can't ignore them. It's like they want you to see them. I tripped over my John Edwards book that day that I was having a live show with Brian. I was getting ready to come on. And literally the book was right there, and I tripped over, and he goes, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I just hurt my toe on this stupid book." And I looked down, and I said, "Oh, my God." And Brian's like, "What happened?" I said, "I remember John Edwards, but look at my book. It says John Edwards." I took a picture, sent it to him, and I said, "I think I was supposed to find this." Because there's a lot of people who remember John Edwards.
Sure, I remember.
And now the book says John Edwards. It wanted me to find it. I literally tripped over the book. The book shouldn't even been on the floor.
No, it was John Edwards. Absolutely John Edwards. I remember watching his show. Yeah, that's,
and now if you look at the book, it changed.
Right.
And in Mandela Effects are hard to ignore, guys. I mean, I am so awake, you guys. It's like ridiculous. I can't ignore anything.
So we can find you over there. You're basically co-hosted over there with Brian on his channel. And if people want to know, you just go to the Brian McFarland channel, correct?
Do you have an actual YouTube channel?
Do you have YouTube?
Guys, I'm usually in the background. I don't really say much, but sometimes Brian will let me talk.
Okay.
That sounds funny. Because I'm not really gifted on sometimes. But a lot of times he'll do like live shows and I'll be talking with him. I get really nervous. Like, you guys are really good at this, but I get really nervous. I'm not really a good public speaker.
So do you have a Facebook link or a Twitter or some account or some link that you could put in the chat room where people could contact you if they'd like?
Through Brian.
Through Brian, okay. So everybody can go to Brian McFarland.
Yeah. Did any of your people have questions for me? Hey, did any of your people have any questions for me? Any questions?
We had one earlier, but so far
what was that?
Like everybody's clear, but
Well, Marlo wanted to get out the fact.
What's that, Jesse?
Marlo just wanted to say, while you guys were talking about the Jiffy racehorse, that this is another synchronicity. The video that she was talking about earlier in the broadcast, that very video was about a racehorse. How about that?
Oh,
cool.
There you go.
Cool.
There you go. Well,
listen, appreciate you calling in, Theresa. I'm glad you hung in there and got on. That's awesome.
Oh, I love y'all.
Theresa. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And call us again.
Good night, everybody. And I want to come back again.
Okay.
Definitely.
Anytime. Just give us a call back another time, honey.
You guys are awesome. Thank you. I really enjoyed myself.
Keep us in your prayers, girl.
Okay. Keep in touch.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do it.
You'll see me.